Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a woman standing before you, not just as a partner, but as someone who sees you, truly sees you. She knows your flaws, your weaknesses, your faults, and yet, in her eyes, you are worth loving. But what does it mean when a woman loves you? It's not just an emotion or a fleeting feeling. It's an act of profound significance, both for her and for you. To be loved by a woman is to experience a form of intimacy that holds the potential to either elevate you or expose your deepest fears and vulnerabilities. It is an invitation to grow, to confront your limitations, and to transcend your ego. This love is not some passive, serene affection. It is a force of nature. When a woman loves you, she does not merely accept you for who you are, she challenges you to become who you are capable of becoming. She becomes the mirror in which you see not only the best version of yourself, but also the darker, unacknowledged parts of your soul. And in this reflection, you have two choices: to retreat and hide from the discomfort, or to rise and meet the challenge of becoming a better man. To understand the depth of a woman's love is to understand the role of love itself in human existence. Love, at its core, is not a simple transaction. It is a transformative experience that asks us to face life head-on with courage and integrity. This love, particularly when it is felt deeply by a woman, holds immense power, a power to inspire, to challenge, and yes, sometimes to break. But it is in this breaking that you might just find the strength to rebuild yourself into someone greater. So what does it mean when a woman loves you? Let's explore the nuances of that experience and uncover the profound implications it holds for your life. When a woman loves you, it isn't simply an expression of affection or a comforting embrace in times of hardship. It's a challenge, a force that demands your attention and your effort. Love, in this context, is not a passive or one-dimensional experience. It is active, dynamic, and often confrontational. The kind of love a woman offers is one that sees through the surface, the polished image you present to the world, and into the depths of who you are. It doesn't settle for the easy answers or the comfortable facade. It demands you to show up as your truest self, flaws and all. This love compels you to face your imperfections. She doesn't love you in spite of your weaknesses, but rather she loves you with a deep understanding that these imperfections are part of the fabric of who you are. However, she also knows that these flaws are not permanent. She believes in your ability to change and evolve, and in this belief she challenges you. She sees potential where you may see failure, and it is this vision of who you could become that keeps her pushing you. The challenge is not one of mere expectation, but of potential. She expects you to rise to the occasion, to confront the parts of yourself that you have hidden, ignored, or even feared. Love, in this sense, is not about accepting you as you are and leaving it at that. Instead, it is a call to action, a call to become something more than what you currently are. And this can be uncomfortable. It asks you to leave behind the safety of your comfort zone and venture into the unknown parts of yourself. It asks you to grow, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. A woman's love will often point out the places in your life where you are avoiding responsibility or living inauthentically. She does not do this to tear you down or criticize you for the sake of it. Rather, she does it because she knows what you are capable of. It's not about changing who you are to fit an image of perfection. It's about moving toward a deeper version of yourself, one that is more truthful, more accountable, and more connected to your purpose. In this way, love is the ultimate challenge because it forces you to reckon with the parts of yourself that you would rather ignore. This process is not without its difficulties. Being challenged by love means facing discomfort, rejection, and sometimes even fear. It's easier to remain the same, to settle for mediocrity, and to avoid the work required for growth. But love, when it is genuine and rooted in understanding, pushes you past these easy choices. It confronts you with your weaknesses, not to shame you, but to give you the opportunity to transcend them. It is in this process of confronting your shortcomings that you discover your true strength. The challenge is not just about overcoming external obstacles, but about overcoming the internal ones that have held you back from being the person you are meant to be. The challenge is not one-sided. As much as a woman's love asks you to rise, it also demands that you meet her with the same intensity and authenticity. It's not a one-way street. You are asked not only to grow for your own sake, but also to meet her emotional and intellectual depth. Love, in this sense, is a reciprocal challenge. It asks you to understand her fully, to see her as more than just a partner, but as an equal who also brings forth her own challenges and vulnerabilities. It calls on you to be strong for her, just as she has been strong for you. In this way, the challenge of love is not about achieving a perfect relationship or even about being perfect individuals. It's about being two people who are willing to put in the work, to meet each other with authenticity, and to grow together. The woman who loves you wants more than just a superficial connection. She wants to build something deeper. She doesn't love you despite your flaws. She loves you through them, knowing that it is through the struggle that you both will find the strength to evolve. In the end, when a woman loves you, it is not merely a gift, it is a challenge to rise. It's a call to move beyond who you are today and toward who you are capable of becoming. It asks you to be more than what the world expects of you, to take responsibility for your life, and to confront the deepest truths about yourself. In this way, love becomes not only a transformative force for you, but for the relationship as a whole. It is through this challenge, the challenge to grow, to evolve, and to face the depths of your own soul, that the real power of love is revealed. It is the kind of love that does not settle for what is, but constantly strives for what could be. Love, in its truest form, demands responsibility. It is not a fleeting emotion or a passive state of being. It is an active, ongoing process that requires you to take ownership of your actions, decisions, and your very self. When a woman loves you, she does not merely offer affection or praise. She entrusts you with something far more profound, a commitment to be responsible, not just for yourself, but for the relationship and the life you are building together. This responsibility is not optional. It is essential for the flourishing of both individuals within the partnership. To be loved by a woman is to be invited into a shared responsibility. It's an acknowledgement that love is not just about receiving affection, but about taking care of one another. Love doesn't happen in a vacuum. It exists within the context of a shared life with shared duties, shared challenges, and shared growth. You cannot love someone deeply without accepting the weight of responsibility that comes with it. It is not a matter of merely living for yourself anymore, but also living for another person, and in many ways for the future you are creating together. This responsibility manifests itself in many forms. At its core, it's about accountability, being accountable to the woman you love, to the relationship you're nurturing, and to your own growth as an individual. It requires you to show up day after day with integrity, commitment, and purpose. You cannot simply take your partner's love for granted, assuming that it will always be there without putting in the effort to maintain and honor it. True love demands that you invest in the other person's well-being, emotionally, physically, and intellectually. It's not a love that can survive on autopilot. It thrives on active participation and engagement from both parties. When a woman loves you, she is not asking you to be perfect. Rather, she is asking you to take responsibility for your imperfections, to recognize the areas where you need to grow and change. This requires honesty not only with her, but with yourself. It means acknowledging the parts of yourself that are broken, flawed, or underdeveloped and being willing to work on them. To love her and to accept her love in return means accepting the fact that you are both works in progress and that this process of growth is continuous. But it also means that you must own your past and take responsibility for the choices that brought you to this point in your life. You cannot run from your mistakes. They are a part of you, but they do not define you. It is through taking responsibility for those mistakes that you begin to evolve to become a better version of yourself. The responsibility in love also extends to how you treat each other in the day-to-day. It's not just about grand gestures or romantic displays. It's about showing up when it counts. It's in the small, seemingly insignificant moments, listening when she needs to talk, being there when she's struggling, holding space for her emotions without judgment or dismissal. Love demands that you are present, emotionally available, and supportive. These moments, the ones that test your patience, your empathy, and your resilience, are often the most telling of your commitment to the responsibility that love demands. When a woman loves you, she expects you to be there in these moments, to rise to the occasion and meet her with understanding and care. There's also a larger responsibility that comes with love, one that is often overlooked: the responsibility to create a shared vision for the future. When you love someone, you are not just living in the present, but planning for what comes next. This includes making choices that will affect both of you, whether it's in terms of career, family, finances, or personal goals. Love demands that you consider how your decisions impact the person you love and that you take the time to communicate, collaborate, and plan together. It's about building a life with intention, not just floating along by default. The responsibility in love, however, is not just about what you do for the other person. It's also about what you do for yourself. A healthy relationship thrives when both individuals are responsible for their own well-being, growth, and happiness. To be loved by a woman means accepting the responsibility of taking care of yourself, of not relying solely on her for your emotional fulfillment or happiness. You must develop your own sense of purpose, your own sense of self-worth, and your own emotional resilience. Love demands that you be whole on your own so that you can contribute to the wholeness of the relationship. In the end, love requires you to be accountable to your values, your promises, and your partner. It's a responsibility that is ongoing, one that doesn't end once the initial feelings of passion or infatuation fade. Instead, love evolves and deepens, requiring you to show up, take ownership, and consistently work to be the partner that she deserves. Love is not a passive state of being. It is a dynamic, active responsibility, a commitment that involves emotional, intellectual, and practical engagement. When a woman loves you, she trusts you with the responsibility of her heart. And this responsibility, though heavy at times, is ultimately the foundation of a love that can endure, grow, and transform both of you into the people you are meant to become. When a woman loves you, one of the most profound gifts she offers is the invitation to engage in self-examination. Her love is a mirror, one that reflects not just the best parts of you, but also the darker, hidden aspects of your character that you may not even acknowledge. This mirror does not allow you to escape from your own reflection. It compels you to confront who you truly are, not who you pretend to be or wish you could be. In this process, self-examination becomes a vital tool for personal growth because it's only through honest reflection that you can begin to understand yourself more deeply and make the changes necessary to become the person you are meant to be. Self-examination is a deeply uncomfortable process. It requires you to face the parts of yourself that you may have buried or ignored, the habits, fears, and insecurities that you've allowed to shape your actions. When a woman loves you, she encourages you to look closely at these aspects, to examine how they influence your behavior, your decisions, and your relationships. This is not an exercise in self-criticism or self-loathing. Rather, it is an opportunity for growth. It is about recognizing that the aspects of yourself that you've overlooked or dismissed are not barriers to your potential, but signals, indicators of where you need to change, evolve, and heal. By confronting these parts of yourself, you can begin to understand why you act the way you do, and more importantly, how you can move beyond these limitations. This process of self-examination is not just about looking inward. It is also about receiving the feedback and reflections that come from your partner's perspective. When a woman loves you, she often holds up a mirror to your actions, pointing out patterns that you may not even realize exist. She offers observations, critiques, and insights that force you to reevaluate your behavior. At times, this can be difficult to accept, especially when the observations challenge your ego or contradict your sense of self. But her love is not about making you feel comfortable or validating your flaws. It is about helping you see the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Through her perspective, you gain the clarity you need to examine the ways in which your actions and decisions may be hindering your growth. This examination is not merely about identifying flaws. It's also about recognizing your strengths, your potential, and the areas where you've made progress. When a woman loves you, she doesn't just point out what you're doing wrong, she celebrates what you're doing right, encouraging you to lean into those positive traits. It's easy to overlook our own achievements, especially when we're focused on self-improvement or growth. But love, in its truest form, reminds us of the progress we've made and encourages us to continue on the path of growth. In this sense, self-examination becomes a balanced process. It's not about fixating on what needs fixing, but about also acknowledging the parts of you that are strong, resilient, and capable. As you engage in this process of self-reflection, you begin to uncover the root causes of your behavior. Why do you act in certain ways? Why do you avoid difficult conversations? Why do you procrastinate or self-sabotage? These are the questions that arise when you start to examine your life through the lens of love. The answers are often not easy to find, and they may require you to dig deep into your past, your upbringing, your experiences. But it is only by doing this that you can begin to understand the beliefs and patterns that have shaped your life and begin to dismantle the ones that no longer serve you. Self-examination also requires a commitment to change. It's not enough to simply identify areas for growth. You must actively work to change them. When a woman loves you, she is not asking you to be perfect. She is asking you to be better, to strive toward becoming a version of yourself that is more aligned with your values, your potential, and your purpose. This takes work. It takes discipline, patience, and the willingness to face uncomfortable truths. It requires that you take responsibility for your actions and commit to doing the work necessary to make meaningful change. It is not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey of continual growth. In this process, vulnerability plays a key role. Self-examination requires you to be vulnerable with yourself, to admit where you've gone wrong, where you've been weak, and where you've failed. It requires a level of humility, the ability to acknowledge that you are not perfect and that growth is a process, not a destination. When a woman loves you, she creates a safe space for this vulnerability, offering her support and encouragement as you navigate your journey of self-discovery. She helps you see that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength. It is only through vulnerability that you can open yourself up to real change. Ultimately, self-examination and growth are not just personal endeavors, they are essential for the health of your relationship. As you grow individually, you become a better partner, more capable of giving love, more emotionally available, and more able to support your partner's growth as well. A relationship that fosters self-examination and growth is one that encourages both individuals to become the best versions of themselves, not for the sake of the relationship, but for the sake of each person's fulfillment and purpose. When a woman loves you, she invites you into this process not to break you down, but to help you build yourself up into someone who is more capable of experiencing the fullness of life and love. Through self-examination, you move toward becoming not just a better person, but a better partner, one who is capable of truly loving and being loved. When a woman loves you, it is inevitable that discomfort will be part of the process. Love, especially the kind that transforms and grows, is not always a smooth and pleasant journey. In fact, some of the most significant growth comes from moments of discomfort when you are forced to confront your limitations, your fears, and the very aspects of yourself that you would prefer to avoid. Discomfort in love is not a sign that something is wrong, rather, it is a signal that something is happening, something that can lead to greater self-awareness, deeper connection, and personal growth. This discomfort often arises when a woman's love challenges you to become a better version of yourself. It asks you to look at the parts of yourself that you've long ignored, the habits, fears, and insecurities that have shaped your behavior and relationships. At first, this process can feel uncomfortable because it forces you to acknowledge things you'd rather keep hidden. You may feel exposed or vulnerable, and in these moments, you might question yourself and the relationship. But this discomfort is necessary. It is through these uncomfortable moments that you start to peel back the layers of your identity, unearthing the parts of you that need to evolve. One of the most uncomfortable aspects of love is that it challenges your ego. Your sense of self, your idea of who you are, is often shaped by external forces, your achievements, the way others perceive you, and how you see yourself in relation to the world. But when a woman loves you, she doesn't just see the external version of you, she sees you in your entirety. She sees the flaws, the vulnerabilities, the fears you try to hide. Her love, in its honesty, requires you to confront these aspects of yourself. This can feel uncomfortable because it forces you to let go of the image of yourself you've carefully crafted. It asks you to be more honest, more vulnerable, and more real than you might be used to. It is in this discomfort that you experience the most profound growth. You are faced with the question, will you continue to protect your fragile ego? Or will you step into a new version of yourself, one that is stronger, more authentic, and more capable of handling life's challenges? Love demands that you step into the discomfort, face your insecurities, and grow through them. It's not easy and it's not comfortable, but it is necessary for personal development. The process of growth is rarely smooth or without pain. It often requires you to break down old patterns and beliefs, which can be deeply unsettling. But this process of breaking down and rebuilding is where true transformation happens. This discomfort also arises when love requires you to make changes that may feel unnatural or counterintuitive. You may find yourself having to adopt new behaviors, change old habits, or rethink long-held beliefs. This can feel like an uphill battle, especially if you've spent years operating in a particular way. Change is uncomfortable because it requires you to venture into the unknown. It asks you to be open to new possibilities and to let go of the familiar, even if that familiarity has kept you in your comfort zone. But love, especially when it is genuine and deep, doesn't allow you to remain stagnant. It pushes you forward. even when that forward movement feels difficult or uncertain. In a relationship, discomfort also manifests in the form of conflict. Disagreements, misunderstandings, and emotional tension are all part of the process. These moments are uncomfortable, no doubt. They may bring up feelings of frustration, anger, or sadness, but they are essential for growth. Conflict challenges both partners to communicate more effectively, to understand each other on a deeper level, and to work through difficult emotions. It is easy to avoid conflict, to sweep issues under the rug and pretend they don't matter. But love does not allow this. It demands that you face the difficult conversations, address the problems head on, and work through them together. In these moments of discomfort, you learn not only more about your partner, but also about yourself, about your communication style, your triggers, and your ability to navigate emotional landscapes. The discomfort in love is not about constant hardship or unhappiness. It is a necessary part of the process that leads to deeper intimacy and stronger bonds. When a woman loves you, she gives you the opportunity to grow through discomfort, to face things that you might have avoided or feared. She provides a space in which you can take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them. Love does not shy away from difficult moments. It embraces them, knowing that they are integral to the development of both individuals within the relationship. Discomfort in love can also arise from the vulnerability that comes with being truly seen. When you open yourself up to someone, exposing your deepest fears, desires, and vulnerabilities, it is inevitable that some discomfort will arise. To love and be loved is to be fully exposed, to be seen in a way that few people ever allow themselves to be seen. This vulnerability can feel terrifying because it means opening yourself up to potential hurt, disappointment, or rejection. But it is precisely through this vulnerability that deep emotional intimacy is formed. The discomfort of being vulnerable is what creates the connection that allows both partners to truly know each other, flaws and all. Discomfort in love is not a sign that something is wrong. Rather, it is a sign that something is changing, evolving, and growing. It is a necessary part of the process of becoming the best version of yourself, of learning how to navigate the complexities of human relationships, and of building a life together with someone who challenges you to rise to your full potential. When you lean into the discomfort rather than retreating from it, you open yourself up to growth, transformation, and a deeper, more fulfilling love. When a woman loves you, she not only offers you affection and companionship, but also presents you with a choice to evolve or retreat. Love is not a static experience. It is dynamic, challenging, and transformative. It calls upon you to grow, to move beyond who you are at the moment and become a fuller, more integrated version of yourself. However, this growth is not inevitable. It is a conscious choice that you must make, one that requires vulnerability, courage, and a willingness to face discomfort. The alternative, of course, is to retreat, to stay the same, to avoid the difficult work of self-examination, and to remain trapped in old patterns that keep you from realizing your true potential. To evolve in a relationship is to choose change. It means acknowledging that who you are today is not the final version of yourself, that you have room to grow, adapt, and improve. Love, particularly when it is deep and authentic, does not allow you to remain complacent. It doesn't allow you to stay in your comfort zone. Instead, it calls you to rise, to face the parts of yourself that need to be healed, developed, or strengthened. Love challenges you to confront your weaknesses, your insecurities, and the limiting beliefs that have shaped your actions and relationships. It asks you to let go of old habits that no longer serve you and to replace them with new ways of thinking, behaving, and being. This process of evolution is not always easy. It often involves discomfort, self-doubt, and moments of uncertainty, but it also offers the potential for greater self-awareness, deeper intimacy, and a more fulfilling life. Choosing to evolve means that you must be open to the possibility of failure. Change is rarely a linear process. It involves setbacks, mistakes, and moments of regression. You may stumble along the way, and at times you may feel as though you are moving backward rather than forward. But it is through these missteps that you learn the most about yourself. Evolution is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about taking responsibility for your actions, learning from your mistakes, and continuing to move forward, even when the path is not clear. When a woman loves you, she encourages you to take these risks, to embrace the uncertainty of change, and to trust that the process, however uncomfortable, will ultimately lead to growth. On the other hand, the choice to retreat is a decision to stay stuck in familiar patterns. It is a choice to avoid the discomfort that comes with change, to reject the growth that love demands. Retreating may feel safe in the short term. It allows you to avoid confrontation with the parts of yourself that you would rather leave unchanged. It may allow you to maintain the illusion of control, to avoid the pain of vulnerability, or to escape the challenges that come with confronting your weaknesses. However, the cost of retreat is stagnation. When you choose to avoid growth, you choose to remain stagnant, to deny yourself the opportunity to evolve into the person you are capable of becoming. The relationship may continue, but it will be based on an illusion of progress rather than a true partnership built on mutual growth and self-improvement. The choice to retreat can also manifest as emotional disengagement. Rather than confronting difficult emotions or having challenging conversations, you may withdraw or shut down. This withdrawal may come in the form of avoiding difficult topics, closing yourself off emotionally, or refusing to take responsibility for your actions. You may convince yourself that it is easier to stay silent, to avoid conflict, or to suppress your feelings rather than facing them head-on. But in the long run, this retreat only undermines the relationship. It prevents true intimacy from developing because it relies on avoidance rather than engagement. It disconnects you from your partner and keeps you from growing together. In this sense, retreating is not just a choice to avoid personal growth, it is a choice to avoid true connection and mutual understanding. Choosing to evolve, however, is a decision to actively engage with your partner and the relationship. It is about taking responsibility for your emotional health, your actions, and your role in the dynamic. It means being willing to have those uncomfortable conversations, to address issues head-on, and to confront difficult truths both about yourself and your relationship. Evolution in love requires vulnerability, the willingness to expose your fears, insecurities, and weaknesses. But it also requires courage, the courage to be imperfect, to take risks, and to trust that growth will come from the discomfort of change. When you choose to evolve, you open yourself up to a deeper, more authentic connection with your partner. You are no longer hiding behind walls or facades. Instead, you are allowing yourself to be seen in all your complexity. This process of evolution requires that you be proactive. It doesn't happen by accident. It requires self-awareness and a willingness to look at yourself honestly. It means recognizing when you are avoiding personal growth and making the conscious choice to step into the discomfort of change. You must actively seek out ways to improve, whether it's through self-reflection, learning new skills, or seeking outside help when needed. Growth is not a passive experience. It requires intentional effort and commitment. Love is the vehicle that can drive this evolution, but it is up to you to steer the wheel. The ultimate choice, then, is not about whether or not you love someone. It is about how willing you are to grow, evolve, and transform within that love. When a woman loves you, she presents you with an opportunity to become the best version of yourself. She offers you the chance to face your fears, confront your limitations, and grow together. But you must choose this evolution. You must decide to lean into the discomfort, to face the challenges, and to embrace the process of becoming. The alternative is to retreat, to remain the same, to avoid the growth that love demands, and to forfeit the chance to experience the deeper, more fulfilling connection that comes with mutual growth. In the end, the choice is yours to evolve or to retreat, and the path you choose will determine the future of your relationship and of your life. When a woman loves you, she offers you something truly profound, an opportunity for rebirth. Love, in its purest form, is not just about companionship or affection. It is a transformative force that has the power to reshape your very existence. It asks you to let go of old versions of yourself and embrace a new way of being, one that is more aligned with your true potential. Love is not merely an experience of emotional fulfillment. It is an invitation to evolve, to shed the layers of self-doubt, fear, and past trauma that have held you back, and to emerge as a stronger, more authentic version of yourself. This rebirth is not an overnight process. It is a continual journey of growth, but it is one that love offers you if you are willing to accept it. Rebirth through love often starts with a moment of realization. When you open yourself up to someone and allow yourself to be loved, you create a space where your deepest, most vulnerable parts are exposed. In this vulnerability, something powerful happens. You begin to see yourself not just through your own eyes, but through the eyes of the person who loves you. This perspective can be revolutionary. It allows you to see your own worth, your potential, and your capacity for change in ways that you may have never imagined. It is through the eyes of love that you begin to recognize the parts of yourself that need healing, the fears that have held you back, and the ways in which you've kept yourself from fully living. This moment of realization, though often uncomfortable, is the first step toward rebirth. It is the recognition that you are not defined by your past mistakes, your insecurities, or the roles you've played up until now. You have the opportunity to transform, to become something new, something better. The process of rebirth requires shedding the old. Just as a snake must shed its skin to grow, you must let go of the identities, beliefs, and habits that no longer serve you. Love, especially from a woman who sees you for who you truly are, challenges the versions of yourself that you've been hiding behind. It forces you to confront your weaknesses, your fears, and the ways in which you've built walls around your heart. At first, this process can be painful. It may feel like you are losing parts of yourself that you've come to rely on, parts that have provided a sense of security, even if they were ultimately limiting. But love does not ask you to abandon who you are, rather, it asks you to let go of the parts of you that are holding you back from becoming your truest self. This shedding of the old is a necessary step in the journey of rebirth. Rebirth through love also involves learning to forgive yourself. So often we carry the weight of past mistakes, regrets, and failures. These experiences shape how we view ourselves, often leading to self-doubt and a lack of confidence. But when you are loved by someone who accepts you fully, flaws and all, you are given the chance to release this burden. Love offers you the gift of self-forgiveness, allowing you to release the shame and guilt that have held you captive. It doesn't mean that you forget your mistakes or dismiss them, but rather that you learn to accept them as part of your journey. Through love, you are reminded that you are worthy of forgiveness, worthy of growth, and worthy of change. This forgiveness is not just about letting go of the past, it is about giving yourself permission to move forward, to embrace the potential for a new future that is free from the constraints of old guilt. A crucial aspect of love as rebirth is the realization that you are not alone in this process. When a woman loves you, she becomes a mirror for your growth, offering you not just emotional support, but also the opportunity to see yourself more clearly. She sees you not only for who you are at this moment, but for who you can become. Her love serves as a catalyst, inspiring you to stretch beyond your limits and reach for higher goals. She may challenge you, confront you with your weaknesses, or encourage you to face difficult truths about yourself. At times, this challenge can feel overwhelming, even painful. But it is through this challenge that rebirth occurs. Love doesn't just affirm who you are, it pushes you toward who you can become. It calls upon you to step into your own greatness, to take risks, and to believe in your own potential. Rebirth through love also involves creating new habits, new patterns of thinking, and new ways of being. It's about developing a sense of self-worth that is not reliant on external validation, but on a deep understanding of your own value. And love encourages you to be the best version of yourself, not for anyone else, but for your own fulfillment. This transformation is not always easy, as it often requires you to confront old wounds, fears, and patterns that you've spent years nurturing. It requires you to take responsibility for your own growth and to make choices that align with the person you want to become. But with the support of someone who loves you, these changes become possible. Love is the fertile ground in which you can plant the seeds of a new, better life. Love as rebirth also requires patience. Just as the process of growth takes time in nature, so too does it take time in human beings. Rebirth does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process of learning, unlearning, and becoming. You will face setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when you question whether the transformation is even possible. But love, in its unwavering support, reminds you that change is not a linear path. It is filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. The key is persistence, continuing to show up, continuing to work on yourself, and continuing to trust that through the process you will emerge as someone new, someone better. Love offers you the chance for a rebirth because it helps you reconnect with your own humanity. It brings you back to yourself in a way that allows you to see not just your flaws, but also your beauty, your potential, and your strength. Love is a force that calls upon you to shed the layers of your past, to forgive yourself for your mistakes, and to step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. It does not promise an easy path, but it offers the gift of transformation, the opportunity to be born again, to become the best version of yourself, and to experience a deeper, more authentic love. When a woman loves you, she offers more than just companionship or affection. She presents an opportunity to embrace the power of courage over perfection. In relationships, as in life, there is an overwhelming pressure to present oneself as flawless. This desire for perfection often leads to hiding vulnerabilities, suppressing emotions, and failing to show up authentically. Yet, true growth in love comes not from striving for an unattainable ideal, but from having the courage to be imperfect, to face your fears, and to allow yourself to grow despite or perhaps because of your flaws. When a woman loves you, she doesn't ask for perfection, she asks for courage, the courage to be real, to be human, and to show up in all your vulnerability. Courage over perfection begins with the recognition that no one is perfect. We are all works in progress, constantly evolving and changing. Perfectionism is a myth that keeps us trapped in a cycle of comparison, judgment, and self-doubt. It is a defense mechanism that shields us from the fear of rejection or failure. However, when we hide behind perfection, we prevent ourselves from truly connecting with others. Perfectionism keeps us isolated, disconnected from our true selves and from those we care about. Love, on the other hand, offers a different path. It encourages us to show up as we are, in all our messiness, with all our flaws and imperfections. It is through this raw honesty that true intimacy is born. When a woman loves you, she sees beyond the surface. She sees your flaws and your fears, your mistakes and your strengths, and still chooses to love you. This kind of love is not about admiring an idealized version of you. It is about accepting you in your entirety. She offers you the freedom to stop pretending, to stop wearing the mask of perfection, and to simply be yourself. This can be incredibly liberating. It is an invitation to drop the facade, to shed the layers of self-protection you have built over time, and to step into a new way of being, one where you do not have to be perfect to be worthy of love. In fact, it is precisely because of your imperfections that you are deserving of love, because it is in embracing those imperfections that you open the door to deeper connection and growth. The courage to embrace imperfection also requires a willingness to fail. Perfectionism keeps us trapped in a constant fear of making mistakes. We are terrified of not measuring up, of falling short of expectations, of disappointing others. This fear often paralyzes us, keeping us from taking risks or trying new things. However, in love, failure is not the enemy, it is a necessary part of growth. When a woman loves you, she creates a safe space for you to fail, to learn, and to try again. She doesn't expect you to be perfect, she expects you to show up with courage and vulnerability. Love allows you to step into the unknown, to take chances without the fear of judgment or rejection. In this way, love becomes a sanctuary for growth, a place where mistakes are seen as opportunities for learning rather than as reasons for self-criticism. The choice of courage over perfection also means having the courage to be vulnerable. Perfectionism often leads to emotional armor, a way of protecting ourselves from the possibility of hurt. We hide our feelings, our insecurities, and our true selves because we are afraid of being seen as less than perfect. But in doing so, we miss out on the opportunity for real connection. Love thrives in vulnerability. When a woman loves you, she asks for the courage to open up, to share your fears, your dreams, and your weaknesses without shame. She offers you the gift of her own vulnerability, and in return, she invites you to meet her with the same courage. It is through this mutual vulnerability that a deep, authentic connection is formed. Love cannot flourish in the presence of perfectionism, because perfectionism keeps us distant and guarded. It is only through courage, the courage to be imperfect, the courage to be seen, that we can truly connect on a deeper level. Courage over perfection also involves being willing to let go of the need for external validation. Perfectionism is often driven by the desire to meet other people's expectations, to be praised, admired, or loved for our achievements. But love is not about meeting external standards. It is about being accepted for who you are, not for what you do. When a woman loves you, she doesn't require you to be perfect in the eyes of the world. She loves you for your essence, for your heart, and for your character. This love gives you the freedom to stop seeking approval from others and to focus on what truly matters, being authentic and true to yourself. The courage to reject the need for external validation is liberating. It allows you to define your own worth, to create your own standards of success, and to embrace the imperfections that make you uniquely you. Love, as courage over perfection, encourages you to embrace the journey of self-improvement without falling into the trap of perfectionism. It invites you to constantly strive to become the best version of yourself, but without the pressure to be flawless. Growth is not a destination, it is a continuous process of learning, adapting, and evolving. Love, in this sense, becomes a catalyst for positive change, encouraging you to embrace your potential while acknowledging that growth is messy and non-linear. The courage to improve is not about trying to become perfect, it is about embracing the process of becoming. It is about being willing to fall, to stumble, and to get back up again, each time a little stronger, a little wiser, and a little more authentic. The courage to choose imperfection over perfection is also about embracing self-compassion. Perfectionism often leads to harsh self-criticism, where we hold ourselves to impossibly high standards and beat ourselves up for every perceived failure. But love teaches us to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. When a woman loves you, she shows you that it is okay to make mistakes, to be imperfect, and to be gentle with yourself in the process. Love allows you to replace the inner critic with a voice of compassion, one that encourages growth while accepting imperfections. Choosing courage over perfection is a powerful shift. It allows you to show up fully in your relationships and in your life, not as an idealized version of yourself, but as your true self. Love, especially when it is genuine and unconditional, does not demand perfection. It demands courage, the courage to be seen, the courage to fail, the courage to grow, and the courage to be real. And in this courage, we find the deepest form of connection, the truest form of love. In conclusion, love in its truest form is a powerful force for transformation. It asks not for perfection, but for courage, the courage to face your imperfections, to evolve, and to embrace the challenges that come with growth. When a woman loves you, she offers you more than affection. She provides an opportunity to rebirth, to shed old patterns, and to become a better version of yourself. She calls you to take responsibility for your own growth, to engage in the discomfort that comes with change, and to choose the path of evolution over stagnation. Love demands vulnerability, self-examination, and the willingness to face discomfort, but in return, it offers the reward of deeper connection, self-awareness, and mutual growth. It is through love that you can confront your flaws, grow through failure, and build a life that is authentic and meaningful. As you move forward, remember that love is not about being perfect. It is about being real, being courageous, and being open to the transformation it brings. Every challenge, every moment of discomfort, and every risk you take in the name of love is an opportunity for you to become the best version of yourself. Trust the process, trust the love you receive, and most importantly, trust yourself. Thank you for your time and attention today. I wish you all the best as you embark on your own journey of growth and transformation through love. May you have the courage to embrace imperfection, to take risks, and to evolve into the person you are meant to be. Good luck, and thank you once again.